Hey everyone, no idea, absolutely no idea what's happened here tonight. Um, this is all going to come out in portrait as well, which is really irritating because it's not gonna let me do what I wanted to do. Bear with. Now I'm going to put that there. We're going to just try doing this in a slightly different way tonight because we don't really have much of a choice. It's all just going to pot. My webcam has failed just on the night as well when I wanted to do, some important bits. So, right, let's get this link out quickly to everybody, and we're gonna do what we can. I think is probably the best thing here. So please just bear with me for a minute. I appreciate, like I say, it's all in portrait. I'm having to run this off my phone tonight. It's just not wanting to play ball at all. But where there's a will, there is a way, and we will figure that way out momentarily. So share the link out. There's a few people hopping in already, which is really useful. There we go, mate. Karma for laughing at my daughter turning the Wi-Fi off. Yeah, probably there, Ben. Thank you for that. If folk who are here could just do me a favour and just kind of share stuff out, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. Because, yeah, we're going to... What I'll do is I'll add bits and pieces afterwards and we'll try and figure that out in a minute. But there's people joining in, so it's okay. Do you know what the really annoying thing was as well? I was all ready to set up. Look what I got. Look what I got. For audio bits. What a pain. What an absolute pain. Thank you, Charlotte. That is appreciated. We'll give folk a moment because obviously there's no graphics, there's no nothing tonight as a result of everything going sideways. I'm going to get myself a new webcam. I think is probably the lesson here. Try and do that. But had a really, really frustrating last half an hour just trying to get some bits and pieces going and bits and pieces like that. But it is what it is. Technology is what it is, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and I'm just annoyed because obviously there's a lot to kind of say and there's a lot kind of going on, and it's just really, really frustrating. But there we go. Let's just quickly post that there. Indeed, Ian, CCK, never forget where you come from. Shout out Kid Like Us. Probably just making sure that I've typed everything there. Right. So we'll go a little bit freeform tonight then, just where the technology's completely gone out of the window. And yeah, I'm really sorry for that. Not going to get a usual intro that I usually do because it's a bit too kind of upbeat for kind of where we need to be. So for those of you unfamiliar, firstly, thank you for joining us. And secondly, welcome to the BOTW What's Current stream. It's Wednesday the 8th of November 2023. And this is the first stream back for What's Current after a bit of an enforced break. Because we didn't stream last week for obvious reasons. The passing of Adam Johnson kind of necessitated a bit of a pause for everything. So this is how the stream is going to go. I would normally go and give a massive spiel about bits and pieces, and I'm not going to do that tonight. We'll do all those bits at the end in terms of kind of plugging stuff and the like. So what we'll do is I'll ask now, like I say, share stuff out. I can see people kind of hopping in, which is really, really cool. And like I say, I'm just really sorry for all of the palaver this evening in terms of getting stuff sorted. But there's a few things. So here's how the stream's going to go tonight. We're going to talk about Adam Johnson and that situation in his passing and the repercussions thereof about that. And after that, we're going to talk about the NIHL for a bit. Like I say, I've got no graphics. I've got nothing because just the whole thing's just not working. So we'll chuck the format a little bit out the window. But this is your warning now. That we are going to talk about the passing of Adam Johnson. We're going to talk about some of the circumstances surrounding it. And we're going to talk about some of the repercussions and British hockey moving forward. If this is going to be triggering for you for whatever reason, this is your polite warning now. This is the time to step out. Come back and watch us later. That's cool. I feel that I need to say a few things about this, and I want to say a few things about this, but I appreciate that people may be fed up of talking about it by now. Like I say, some of this hearing about it again might be triggering for a bunch of different reasons. So give us 15, 20 minutes, come back. I promise you we'll be talking about exclusively stuff that happened and got played recently, okay? So, like I said, this is your warning now. You've got 5 seconds to go away, and that's totally cool. If you want to go away and come back, there is no judgment here. On Saturday, the 28th of October, I had been at my in-laws for the day, and I had planned to go to Basingstoke on the Sunday. The deal I have with my wife is that I only go to one game a weekend because I have my son, and looking after him is not a her job, it is an us job. And so what I do is I plan and I say, that game, there, I'll go to that one this weekend. And I planned last weekend to go to the Basingstoke Buffalo against the Peterborough Phantoms because, as you well know, this previous weekend I was due to be in Dumfries, which is quite a substantial way away from home. When the news started to come out about there had been a medical incident at the Sheffield Arena in the Steelers-Panthers game, there was a lot of things being said, a lot of things done, a lot of things said that I think in time people will learn to regret. And the one thing I said was, we can't speculate. I went to bed that night, like a lot of us did, hoping that everything would be okay. Unfortunately, everything was not okay. And the weekend of the 28th and 29th of October goes down along with some other incidents in 2023 of what has been a very long, very arduous couple of months, not just for British hockey, but world hockey. Before we go any further, there are a few things I need to say. To the fans of the Nottingham Panthers, the Sheffield Steelers, to the organisations, their players, club officials, and so on and so forth, I don't want it to sound pithy, but I hope you're okay. I hope that you're dealing with this in the way that you see fit. I hope you're getting the support to do what you want to do, and how you process this is entirely your decision. There were many people in the arena that night, full building, who witnessed something truly terrible. I hope the referees are getting assistance from IHUK. There's been a bunch of resources put out, lots of stuff being done, and hockey, being the community it is, has rallied around people when it's needed them. And that is one of the reasons why I'm so proud to be a part of British hockey, because for the many, many reasons why it frustrates us, many of them we talk about here on this show on a weekly basis, sometimes we get it right. And unfortunately, sometimes it's that tragedy that brings it out of us to get it right. I want to be really, really clear in what I'm about to say. So please bear with me, because in true Anthony fashion, I didn't make notes. This has all been rattling around in my head. As soon as I put off last week's stream, I knew the time was come when I was going to have to say something about this, because for whatever reason, you lot all listen to what I have to say. I hope Matthew Petgrave is okay. I hope everybody is prepared to just wrap their arms around him and just pull him through the other side of this, because despite the many, many ill thought out, badly articulated, and in some cases, disgusting words, Matt Petgrave is none of those things that those people say that he is. Matt Petgrave is a professional hockey player who went to work and, through no fault of his own, was involved in a truly tragic moment. Adam Johnson was a professional hockey player. He went to work and, through no fault of his own, was involved in a truly tragic moment from which there is no return. The way everybody responded has been fascinating and beautiful to watch. And when I say beautiful, I don't mean the people poking in from the mainstream. I don't mean the people who pretend to have a clue about what hockey's like as a community. I mean the people who are here week in, week out. I initially kind of struggled to get my head around it, the whole situation, because there was that kind of process that I went through in my head of, I don't feel particularly close to this. And not in the sense of that I wanted to disassociate with it, because a lot of good people I know, and a lot of people who do blogs and podcasts and broadcasting, are very close to this situation. Sheffield and Nottingham alike. And you think about all the things that have happened. Sheffield with the loss of Alex Graham, Nottingham with the loss of Mike Hammond and the terrorist attack in that city this year, and now this thrown into the bargain to compound just how tough this year has been. And just seeing people pulling each other up and trying to make sure that people are okay is really great. It's been a really, really interesting couple of weeks in my personal life, and don't worry about me. This isn't me trying to inject myself into some sort of victim thing. I'm just having a bit of a tough time at work right now, but I wasn't having a great week when that happened. And then we all got into work on Monday morning, and I'm 99% sure that you all got the same questions that I did. Oh, did you hear about that guy? Oh, isn't it sad? Isn't it tragic? Oh, did you see the video? What happened? What do you think about it? And there was a point by about 10:30 on that Monday morning where I was not prepared to answer any more questions about it. I didn't want to think about the death of Adam Johnson. I wanted to think about Adam Johnson. I wanted to think about the Minnesota boy who managed to play for the same university as his father, who got the opportunity to play in the highest level of ice hockey in the world and got to travel to different countries and was able to do what all of us want to do, which is take the thing we love more than anything else in the world and make a living from it. And that's what I wanted to think about. I didn't want to think about what happened. I didn't want to sit there and dwell on the tragedy of it all. I just wanted to think about this person. Adam Johnson is 10 years younger than me. He's 10 years younger than me. I'm 39 years old. He was 29. When you go to work at 29, the only place you should go at the end is home. The response, of course, in a more practical, pragmatic sense has been interesting. I give credit to the Oxford City Stars and to Shane Moore for being so outspoken about the issue of neck guards. And I think the conversation needed to be had. It needed to be had respectfully, it needed to be had quickly. Now, many people, if you're an Elite League person and you don't know who Shane Moore is, you don't remember Shane Moore, the player, then that's fine. Shane did not have a particularly glittering Elite League career, but he did make quite a good going of things at the lower levels. And now, as GM of Oxford, he stepped up. If you've not had the opportunity to listen to Shane on Radio 5 Live, go seek it out. It's really interesting. And at a moment where our whole community has been walking around for the better part of a fortnight, feeling like we've had the wind knocked out of us, it was really great to hear somebody just being brave enough to say, this is our sport. It's brilliant. Yes, it is inherently dangerous with it. We suffered the tragedy. We need to learn, and we need to act, and we need to do it quickly. I appreciate as well some people were quite confused by the Elite League's decision to not mandate neck guards compared to the NIHL, who chose to mandate them from the 1st of January. Now, there is a lot of discussion about this, and I get that. I will offer one man's opinion In the NIHL, where the majority of players are not professional, they are semi-professional, they work other jobs outside, the mandating of something like a neck guard makes sense, because when they finish hockey on a Sunday night, they are working on Monday. In a professional league, where hockey is your job, if something isn't mandated, then I get the idea that it gets to be the choice. The one place that you really need to look if you want this as a mandated thing for everybody is the IIHF. Now, we know that other leagues already mandate neck guards. The German DEL today has come out and mandated that neck guards will be mandatory for its players from the 1st of January 2024. So, whereas the NHL, the AHL, the ECHL in North America have made no such decision. And given the Americans' propensity for quite earnest discussions about their rights and their responsibilities, that wasn't a surprise. I genuinely think that we are at a watershed moment in the sport. This is different from a lot of the other things that happened. If you think back to this summer, the loss of Mike Hammond is a tragedy. It's not a hockey incident. The loss of Alex Graham, a tragedy, but not a hockey incident. They were going to elicit emotion and reaction, but they weren't going to change the game. I remember back to late 2021 and the incident surrounding the Bratislava Capitals, where they had a player collapse on the ice and pass away. And then a couple of days later, and this is your warning that this next bit is quite hard to talk about, but a couple of days after that player passed away for the Bratislava Capitals, the general manager took his own life. The Capitals withdrew from the Ice Liga and have not been seen since. The entire organisation didn't know how to move on and had to shut itself down as a result. But that didn't really change the game. The legacy of Adam Johnson is going to be that of a life that ended too soon, certainly, but a life that was lived well. A man who achieved the pinnacle. Maybe he only did it 13 times, but he did it. And in his passing, we stand at the precipice of a watershed moment in the greatest sport on earth, about how we look at how safe the players are, about how the people that we look up to, cheer for, celebrate, boo, jeer, laugh with and cry with when things are good and bad. We are on a precipice of how safe they are. Ultimately, this isn't going to be lost to people. There will be victories in this tragedy. There will be. There'll be discussions about player safety, the IHA doing a review of people's equipment, of all parts of it is going to be great. And that's going to hopefully make people safer from when they step on the ice as a child, to when they walk off it, to our friends at the Greenock Piranhas, that over 65s team in Scotland. We will all, if you step on the ice, be safer. When it came to last weekend, and I realised I banged on a fair bit about Dumfries the last couple of days, but boy, did I need that weekend. Where work had been grinding me down, I got to be able to just escape for a few days. I was honoured to join Owen Blackstock on Sharks TV at the weekend. It was great. And the ability to just talk about hockey again was great. To see it happening. And yeah, everybody took part in the tributes immaculately, and the credit goes to the Solway Sharks and the Swindon Wildcats. It was perfect. Perfect to watch. But I said on the stream, and I say it now, we have to pick ourselves up. And as a community and as a sport, we need to walk forward again. One foot in front of the other, keep going. And then when the puck dropped, it's beautiful. To have it all back. To be able to breathe again. And just move on. Ultimately, the legacy of Adam Johnson should be that the dreams are achievable, that the time is precious, and we will all get through together. I thank you for indulging me on that. I hope where you are, you're okay. And I hope where you are, you're able to process everything that's happened. And that if you need the help, get the help. Reach out. I promise you, you will not regret doing it. Find your friend. Find anyone who will listen. And ultimately, we have to keep going. I say it a lot. And when I say ever forwards, it's not because I want to, it's because you have to. We don't get a choice. But wherever you are, if you need it, I'm begging you, reach out. Find someone to talk to. Mend that bridge. Call that friend. The banner moment, the art program article I write that goes to a few places, and one of them is Romford. And I remember I had a very brief conversation with Paul Windebank, who edits the Romford program. I said, "Do you need something for this week?" And he said, "Oh, can you write about anything else?" And I said, "I'm not sure I can, but I have an idea." And all I said at the end of that article, and I'll say it again now, we'll get through it together. Promise. With that being said, should we talk about some ice hockey? Bannersonthewall.wordpress.com has got the latest Banners on the Road on it. So how about I bore you with some more talk of Dumfries for a little bit, just because obviously last weekend, and I know Charlotte, who's in the chat, of course, and if you don't follow Charlotte on TikTok, then make sure you do, because she's doing some interesting different bits of hockey content creation. But yes, yes, I did go to Scotland. What a lot of fun it was. Big shout out as well. I mentioned about Owen Blackstock, the commentator for Sharks TV. His other half, Bronwyn, runs her own little sort of craft company called Bespoke Creations. There's an Instagram post I did about it. But they made me these fantastic little mementos, little slate coasters, which are fantastic. If you want to chuck some money to, want to get Bronwyn to make something for you, then make sure you do check out her bits and pieces. Bespoke, so BEE Spoke. And yeah, man, Dumfries just came at just the right time, I think. Certainly did for me. If nothing else, I just love exploring new places. So bannersonthewall.wordpress.com. It went up this afternoon, went up at lunchtime, which is the Banners on the Road. So the Banners on the Road, if you're not familiar, it's the series where where the Basingstoke Bison are not playing this year. They are my club, but where they're not playing, Banners on the Road is this kind of series where I'm just sort of bouncing around and going to all these different games, and that's my write-up of kind of what's there. And I've done this sort of part travelogue, part hockey analysis kind of thing about being in Dumfries. It's my first time in Scotland for 13 years. The last time I was in Scotland was Coventry Web Blaze broadcast to Stuart Coles' Stag Do. So Scotland kind of always came with a bit of a fuzzy tint for me. But man, like if you're second guessing, and I'm pretty certain that Charlotte will say the same thing here, and I know there's a few people who are thinking about it. If you are second guessing about going to Dumfries, let me tell you now, go to Dumfries. Do it. You are not going to regret this. I ain't going to lie. Dumfries is not Las Vegas by any stretch of the imagination. It is not a big, super shiny town. It's not a city, but it's just a nice atmosphere to be in. Like, it's a really nice atmosphere to be in. And actually, that's one thing that we really, really need right now, I think, is just nice, exciting, fun things to do and being in different places and seeing stuff. And yeah, like if you go look at the piece, like, yes, I had battered haggis and chips with a can of Iron Brew for dinner, because why not lean into every stereotype? In terms of the hockey bits and pieces, the rink at Dumfries is a really interesting one. Ice pad wise, if you've ever been to Slough, it's pretty much the same kind of dimensions as Slough. So because of the way it's set up for international tournaments, the neutral zone is tiny and the end zones are pretty large, all things considered. And it's a fun sort of rink, but yeah, like I say, it's that sort of stretch passing ability is kind of neutralized a bit because the neutral zone is so small. It'll be interesting to see how teams with bigger who usually operate on bigger ice will do. In the same way, it'll be interesting to see what they do at Slough. The actual building itself is fantastic, superb little building, really, really nice. Council run leisure centre, so there's also a curling rink in there. So if you're feeling really brave, you can grab a broom and go have a go at that. But cafe and bar area upstairs, and the rink is downstairs, and it's just nice. It's not the largest place in the world, but it's nicely done. It's well maintained. The Sharks are trying to do some good stuff there. Draft beer on tap, bottles at the bar as well, and the cafe. The food in the cafe is actually pretty handy. It's like pretty decent. I didn't have tons of it. I can see a few people. I see Jamie talking about going up for the Lightning double header in February. Niall, yeah, I mean, I recommend going if you can go. I think the thing I said was that nobody should. If you haven't got the money and you can't afford it, then don't go. Like, please do not put yourself into financial difficulty just to go to a game of hockey up in Scotland. But like, if you can, then I really would recommend going. Dumfries, if you're going up for more than a couple of days. Robert Burns lived there, so there's tons of like culture and history and stuff to see. There's some great little places to get some food. Queen of the South, the football team, are in Dumfries. Massive shout out to Martin Grubb as well, who sorted me out with the ability to go to grab me a ticket for that. So I got to see Queen of the South versus Falkirk, my first ever game of football in Scotland. Because if you love your classic football grounds, Palmerston Park is a proper throwback to that. But yeah, I missed the Sunday game. I made a promise to my son that I'd be home in time for bed on Sunday, which I was able to do. I actually managed to. I left Dumfries at 8:30 on Sunday morning. I made it back to Southampton by 3:50. I got through the front door back at home, which I thought was pretty good going, all things considered. I've not had a speeding ticket through the door yet, so that's quite helpful. But no, definitely if you're thinking of going, then go. And also, like I say, I've done an actual bit of analysis of the game over on Banners on the Wall at WordPress.com. The entire Banners on the Wall series is there for this year. And so you can kind of follow along my sort of really weird, wacky journey. Where am I going next weekend? It's a return to Oxford, baby. I am going this coming Sunday. I will be at the Ox Pens for the Oxford City Stars against the Chelmsford Chieftains. I've not seen Chelmsford live with my own eyes for quite some time. The potential of Petr Cech versus Jordan Lawday is up there with things I really, really want to see. I also, like I said, I want to see Jordan Lawday. I want to see Jay King. I want to see this retooled Chelmsford side that obviously here on the What's Current stream we usually talk about quite a lot, and I don't get the opportunity to see them very often because Chelmsford's just awkward to get to from Southampton. I mean, everywhere's awkward to get to from Southampton for the most part, but the ability to go and see that is going to be massive. So I will see folk at the Ox Pens this coming Sunday for that one. I mean, in terms of what we'll do, like I say, because I'm having to run this off my phone, my computer is just deciding to be a pain in the ass. I'm just going to go buy a new webcam, I think, after this as well. But one of the things that we should do very, very quickly, and I'm just going to quickly, because I've managed to, what you can't see is my phone is leaning on my laptop. But what I'd also managed to do, and actually we're going to move that the other way, we're going to put that there, because then everything will work better. But the phone was right in the middle. So I'd actually managed to do was put the phone over all of the scores. Because, if you're going to get it wrong, get it really, really wrong. I think is probably the only way to describe that. We'll just quickly... There we go. So that's the top one there on that front. So in terms of the national division, we'll quickly bash that. So of course I was there Saturday evening, an 8-4 win for the Swindon Wildcats. Does 8-4 flatter the Cats? Probably a little bit. Solway's big issue here, just dumb penalty after dumb penalty and breakdowns in front of Callum Hepburn, which just kind of nixed everything. I mean, that did allow Callum to get a rest the following night. Curtis Warburton getting the start on the Sunday in the 7-5 win for the Cats. So 4 points for Swindon. I genuinely thought that Solway were going to get something out of this weekend, and they certainly showed flashes of promise. Don't get me wrong, this is the second time I've seen Solway this season, having seen them down in Slough against the Bees, and they're not bad. What they don't have is just that they still don't have that bit of savvy, and they keep making the same mistake and the same mistake and the same mistake, and that just keeps costing them. And especially against a team like Swindon, who I still maintain there's question marks about the D, but their attacking ability is just second to none. Stop giving people chances. It's probably the best way on that one. Elsewhere, on Saturday in the National Division, well, Bristol were 4-3 ahead against Hull and lost by 6-4 as the Seahawks continue their march and good form this season. Good win, though, for the MK Lightning, a 7-4 win over the Bees in back at the Thunderdome to help Milton Keynes slightly push themselves away as we know the Bees are hanging around. Peterborough, well, having caused Leeds some issues last year and having taken the cup from them and denied them the Grand Slam, well, they lose by 3-2. 2 all at one stage in that game. The Knights pushed themselves over the line. And then, well, the Raiders coughed one up. They were ahead against Sheffield. The Dogs win in OT by 6-5, but I Sheffield to get the win there. Sunday then, like we said already, the Cats win a 7-5 win in Solway to get the extra points there. The Bees rebound from their defeat against the MK Lightning with a 4-3 win against the Peterborough Phantoms. Peterborough with a decent comeback here, scoring Martin Suster scoring late on with the goal empty for Peterborough to pull them within one, but just not enough. And then Hull do it again. They beat Milton Keynes again, 4-3. The Seahawks not in the position now where they could get top, but they could get themselves second place if they win their games in hand. Raiders got their revenge on Sheffield as well with a 5-3 win at Sapphire Ice and Leisure over the Steel Dogs to see them drop down the table a little bit. And then Telford, they suffer the same fate as Peterborough. They get close, but they can't beat the Knights. A 4-point weekend for Ryan Aldridge's side as they win by 4-3 in Shropshire. Now what I need to do is do that. Because again, I can't put my phone in. There's no good place to put my phone where I can actually see anything. Let's try it there. Let's try it there, shall we? Oh no, that's at an angle. There we go. There we go. What a disaster this one is, all things considered, don't we think? Dear me, it's not going well. Either way, then we look at the National Division table and we see things are still pretty close, all things considered, but it is a very, very familiar look at the top at the moment. The Leeds Knights have 22 points from their 13 games played, just the 2 defeats so far this season, and only 29 goals conceded in the process over 13 games. MK then in second, they have 20 points from 13. Hull have 16 from only 11 games played, meaning if they won both their games in hand, their record against Milton Keynes would see Hull, who were bottom last year, would be second. Which is pretty crazy thing to think about. The Bees have 15 points from 13 games in fourth. Peterborough have 15 from 14. Of course, the Bees win against the Phantoms on Sunday, gives the Bees the edge on the head-to-head. Swindon's 4-point weekend, massive for them. That's pushing them up to 6th. They have 13 points from 11 games, a positive record on the board now for Swindon. Telford have 13 from 13. Sheffield round up the playoff places. They have 12 from 12, a 6-6 record to start the year for Jason Hewitt in this new era of hockey at Ice Sheffield. Outside the playoffs then, the Raiders have 11 points from 13 games, so not quite as far away. Solway 6 from 13. Bristol have 6 from 12. Solway have more regulation wins currently. As we pull the fixtures back up for this weekend, then just have a quick look at the chat. Andrew should be there Saturday, 18th of November, Sharks versus Steel Dogs. Before that, Friday, Clan versus Flames. Looking forward to it. Any suggestions for food, let us know. Palmerston Cafe on Glasgow Street in Dumfries is about a 2-3 minute walk away from the rink. That is where I got my battered haggis. The other place I ate of real note was the Cayman's Arms. That's at the if you go, that is about a 10-minute walk from the rink. Really, really good pub. Food was superb. Definitely recommend the Cabins Arms. Otherwise, there is a coffee shop in town that I will tell you about, Andrew, but I'll tell you about off of here because that's secret squirrel knowledge worth the stuff, that one. National Division then for this upcoming weekend. Friday Night Lights at the Thunderdome. For the MK Lightning, they take on the Swindon Wildcats. Saturday then the Bees take on Telford. That's a 6:30 p.m. face-off at Slough. Bristol take on Peterborough at 7 p.m. 5:15 p.m. for the Raiders and Leeds. Sheffield take on Hull, the Yorkshire Derby there on Saturday at 7:30, and then a 7 p.m. face-off in Cardiff, the Vindico Arena, for the Swindon Wildcats and the Solway Sharks, if the Sharks weren't doing enough travel this year. Sunday then sees Hull take on Bristol at the world's most versatile arena. That's a 5:30 face-off for the Seahawks and the Pitbulls. 5:15 for Leeds versus the Raiders there. 5:15 at the Castle. 5:30 for Peterborough. They take on the Bees, I believe. And 6 p.m. face-off for Telford against Sheffield. And 4 p.m. though up at Solway this coming Sunday, the Dumfries Ice Bowl, the Sharks and the MK Lightning. What else have we got in the chat so far? Jer saying, can Pitbulls have a new coach? Asking for a friend. Who do you get to replace Jamie Olsen? And what good would it do giving somebody else a roster somebody else to put together? Lightning only played one import for 2 periods on Sunday in Hull. That sounds like a you problem rather than anything else. Fans look really, Dan Brown, fans look really good on Sunday. Priest just saved nearly everything that came his way. Bees also get goals at good times to side defense momentum. This is actually a really, really good point about the Bees when I've watched them this year. They do score very timely goals. That's a very good point, Dan, actually. Congratulations on that one. Andrew, still exists Raiders, great game. Could have gone either way. Connie had a great chance backdoor, but missed, and Volkanov's shot only missed top right. Bissonnet getting the OT winner. He has a habit of doing that, doesn't he? Does Matt Bissonnet. So all things considered, always proves a timely and interesting player to watch. I feel like sometimes he does drift in and out of games a little bit, and you think if he went full bore, just how impressive he would be. North 1, very quickly. Now, I posted about North 1 during the week just because of how ridiculously tight it is. Just going to have to move the camera again just over there. See, this is the one useful thing, actually, of having it on my phone. It's just a little bit more flexibility, all things considered, but it is very, very irritating for a few bits and pieces. What we'll do is we'll try put it there like that. So I'm at a little bit of an angle, and I apologise for that. And like I say, next week I'm going to go buy myself a webcam. we're gonna operate in a much better way. But either way, some decent results from this past weekend in the in North 1. The first one, of course, no big surprise to anybody at all. The Hull Jets win at home, a 4-2 win over the Widnes Wild. Widnes, of course, who were in a little bit of hot water after it turned out Coach Joey Coulter ended up releasing a couple of players by text message today. He has apologised for that as a lapse of judgment, so well done for him for that one, although it seems Widnes fans are not happy about it. And they're not happy about their recent run of results. Despite having the fantastic Luca Tessaggi in goal, they seem to keep playing short-benched and not getting results. So, like I say, a 4-2 loss in Hull. Nottingham, the Lions, brave of them, and thanks as well to the Deeside Dragons for sort of acquiescing and allowing that game to be pushed back to a 12 o'clock face-off so the memorial for Adam Johnson could take place at the sort of desired time. But the Dragons give the Lions an absolute mauling, a 10-3 win on what was a pretty emotional day in Nottingham. And I know it was a tough day for the Lions, so they deserve some credit for gritting their teeth and kind of getting through that one. But a big win for Deeside as their recent good run of form continues. Sunday then, a big win for Blackburn, a 7-3 win for them against the Solihull Barons up at home. Very, very sizable win, which does make for some interesting connotations in the table when we look in a minute. Deeside then, and back-to-back games with Nottingham, and a much better night for, an even worse night, for the Lions. A 6-0 win for Deeside in North Wales. That recent run of form where Deeside are not just scoring, they're scoring big and scoring a lot and scoring often. And the Dragons have dragged themselves into the conversation where right at the beginning of the year, they were barely making a dent and didn't win. Whitley, on the other hand, lose again. Not only do they lose in a shootout to the Sheffield Scimitars. where Nottingham have had a tough week, Sheffield have managed to get themselves a pretty tasty result. And if you think again to that Scimitar side last year, they couldn't win a fish at the fair, and now they're beating Whitley of all teams. And then finally, we've been waiting for it to happen since they joined the division. The Hull Jets win on the road. It took them to the 5th of November to do so, but after winning at home against Widnes, a 5-0 win in Widnes for the Jets, they finally get themselves on the board in terms of winning away, their first away win since joining North 1. So a fantastic result there. We appear to have a troll, so we are going to do that. I think what we're going to do is we're going to click a few bits and pieces here. We're going to do that. Apologies there, it's just somebody in the chat is being a twonk. Because if you remember, and you're new to the BOTW What's Current stream, we have a rule here at the What's Current stream, and that is DBAD. Don't be a dick. And when you come into my chat and you start putting things like that in the chat, go the hell away. Ain't interested in dealing with you. Go away. Either way then, in terms of this coming weekend, plenty of fixtures in North 1, but the usual thing in North 1, the very, very quiet Saturday. Billingham and Sheffield meet at the Forum at 5:30. Widnes and Solihull meet on Merseyside at 7. Sunday, a few more games, obviously. Deeside take on Hull. Will Hull win 2 away games on the trot, or will the Deeside Dragons' recent good form continue? Nottingham take on Billingham on Sunday. That's a 7:20 face-off at the NIC. That could be tasty, all things considered. A 2:10 face-off for the Sheffield Scimitars against the Widnes Wild Eye Sheffield on Sunday. And the other game on Sunday is at Hillhead, the Whitley Warriors and the Blackburn Hawks. So if we have a look at the table, though, for those of you unfamiliar, the table in North 1 is utterly, utterly bonkers and makes no sense. Because Billingham are top. Now, we knew Billingham would be top. All the teams bar 1 have played 11 games. Whitley have played 12. At the moment, Billingham are top on 16 points from 11 games. Blackburn, Deeside, Hull and Solihull are all on 14 points from 11 games. 7 and 4. Whitley are then 6th on 13 points. 3 points separate 1st and 6th. And then below that, you have the 3 teams at the bottom are all on 6 points. Nottingham lead Widnes, Sheffield are at the top. Whitley lost the 2 best players, Holland and the import, who was probably national level, 140 plus points gone. I mean, that is tough, obviously. However, that's a Tony Hand issue. All things considered. What else have we got in the chat? Rod Hullaby, fantastic to see you. AHL level mandate may keep some players, specifically imports, away. You would think the financial aspect guys would wear them. I find it interesting that a few NHLers, Rod, are wearing them. I know TJ Oshie, of course, being a Caps fan, TJ Oshie was the first one I immediately noticed. But of course, he's got a small menagerie of little girls at home to look after. So I understand why, as a professional, if something's not mandated, you get that choice. I personally can rest with that. I get why at NIHL level they mandate it, because this is not a job for a lot of guys. What's up from Jamie? Watch out for some discipline news from James Griffin. Also, Liam Morris could face some discipline action for a cross-check to an on-the-floor Max Stewart that caused Griff to react. If MK would have to ask that to be looked at, if he wasn't given a game misconduct penalty for it, becomes the answer there. But yeah, how crazy is North 1 where you have 3 points separating first and sixth and 1 point separating second and sixth? Crazy division. A lot of people, and one of the conversations I had with a lot of people in Solway was that, yes, obviously, they don't like losing, and they've lost a lot this year already, but the hockey is better for them and it's much more competitive for them. Solway as an organisation had outgrown North 1. And what we are left with, especially with Hull stepping in, look at how competitive that division is. 11 games in, pretty much a third of the season in. And we've got, the 1 to 6 at the moment is within a shot of a title in November. that's pretty decent, I think. All things considered, can't argue that myself. I think that's a big testament to just how that change has not only benefited the national division, because the national gets Solway and all the great things that they're doing, and that new ownership and that new sort of impetus and energy and a different organisation with a different ethos into the division. But just look at what that's done for North One. Like, how good is that? You know, I mean, we talk about the national being competitive. I talk about South One being competitive. North One now takes the biscuit. Is there a division anywhere in British hockey more competitive than North One right now? I don't think there is. Let's quickly pop then to South One. We'll just quickly smash through some results here. Obviously, very, very busy, much busier Saturday in South One than it was in North One. Slough and their complete free scoring. Of course, without Christian Moore, his suspension not quite over. I believe one more weekend to miss for Christian. But a 7-3 win for Slough against Oxford. You know, Oxford, of course, have struggled to get goals at times and struggled for results. But a very, very tough ask for them to go into Slough against that free scoring Jet side and get a result. But yeah, big win there for Slough. And Solent get a pretty sizable win themselves over the Romford Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have sprung a few surprises already this season, not able to do it on the small pad in Gosport. 10-4 the Devils win over their rivals from Essex. A big win as well, though, for Streatham. Still, of course, looking to push on and catch up. Slough still top of the table. We'll look at that in more detail in a minute. But an 8-3 win over Invicta is always something that Ben Painter and the guys on the high road will be happy about. And Streatham would double up a 4-2 win against Chelmsford, one of the other teams that a lot of people feel were going to be Streatham's big rivals this year. A 4-2 win for Streatham at the Riverside. To help sort of keep Chelmsford sort of at arm's length, as it were. Big win there for Streatham. Invicta, though, bounced back from their defeat the night before. They get a 8-6 win over the Jets. That, however, is cup competition only, and it's not a league fixture. So a good win for the Dynamos in terms of momentum, but doesn't have an impact on the league table itself. Oxford, though, I said that somebody was going to get a bloody nose. They don't just give Milton Keynes a bloody nose. They absolutely stomp on their toes. 13-1, the City Stars win. A first ever hat-trick at senior level for Travis Penny. Got on a long way. And of course, if you haven't had the opportunity to see it, Dylan Hullaby's penalty shot, very, very sweetly taken. But yes, Oxford putting a cricket score on the MK Thunder. This upcoming weekend, then, just the one game in the division on Saturday, which is pretty crazy. Chelmsford and Invicta, the big local rivals, butting heads there at the Riverside. That's a 5:30 face-off this coming Saturday. Sunday, then, Invicta take on Solent. That game will be very, very tasty. That's 5:45 down in Gillingham. Romford take on the MK Thunder in what will be a big game at the lower end of the table there. And there's two games of note for me. One, 6:45 on the high road on Sunday, Streatham versus Slough. Cup only, not in the league. But in terms of getting some bragging rights and a big edge in the mental game, that is going to be a huge one. And then a league and cup encounter where you will find myself this coming Sunday. I will be at the Ox Pens for the Oxford City Stars and the Chelmsford Chieftains. That one is going to be an absolute corker, of which I have no doubt. And like I say, if nothing else, I'm really interested to see Chelmsford with my own two eyes, because I've obviously talked a lot about them, and Ben from Zero Pucks Given talks a lot about them as well. So great to be able to see Chelmsford up close and be able to see a couple of guys. Of course, I'm very familiar with watching people like Ben Russell, like Jay King, and also apparently, by the looks of it, Lee Jameson played for them last weekend, had his name on his jersey. It looks like that retirement is very much of the Ric Flair variety. Lee Jameson at South One, that's beyond cheat code level, all things considered. You can't blame Cliff, though, for calling on his friends. Jameson is unreal at that level. Yes, I can only imagine. Anyway, the table in South One currently looks like this. Slough are top, 18 from 12. They played one more game than Streatham, who have 16 from 11. Chelmsford have 14 from 11. They're in third. Invicta have 10. They've only played 8 games, though, so very much still in the discussion when it comes to higher league placing. Solent, 8 from 7. Bit of a mixed start for them, as we're aware. Romford, 5 from 10. Oxford, 5 from 11. MK, with just the lone win so far, 2 points from 6 games played. So they are very much not out of it, all things considered. That maximum points total that Joe Scuts likes to put on everything at nhlstats.wordpress.com, which if you don't go and look at, you are a fool. But MK's maximum points total is currently 46 compared to Romford's 41 and Oxford's 39. All things considered, I would be very surprised to see the MK Thunder get that high in the table. However, almost as short-lived as Neil Lydiard's retirement. Yes, it was incredibly short-lived. Tomlin and Caps got some really good wins against the Steel Dogs on Sunday with Ashley Jackson leading their line. Didn't score, but watch out. Brindley, Caps and Joe Tomlin have been. I mean, if you don't listen to Zero Pucks Given with Ben, he waxes lyrical about them the entire time. People in Romford have told me a lot of good things about these boys. I'm very, very interested to get the opportunity to see them at national level. My hope is to be back in Swindon at some stage. I originally did have a ticket for the first game of the season against Sheffield, but that didn't go very far. But Swindon versus Raiders at the Link might be a game I might have to come and have a check out of. All things considered. Where's my thing gone? All right, quickly then into North 2. And we'll have a quick squiz through the results there from last weekend. There is the 4th. Well, a couple of games that were much tighter than others. In terms of the Saturday, one very tight game. The Billingham Buccaneers getting a big win over the Coventry NIHL Blaze. Not a result that a lot of people would have thought gone the other way, but the Buccaneers with the 2-1 win over the Blaze at the Forum, which is a big one. Less competitive of a game was the Telford Tigers, who scored 16 goals against the Kingston Sharks. Not quite as good as Sutton's 24, but Kingston did at least have a proper goalkeeper in this week. 16-1 the final score at Telford between the Tigers and the Sharks. Sunday then, a 4-point weekend for the Buccaneers, a 7-2 win away in Bradford, which is a pretty solid result. And a bad weekend for the Coventry Blaze, though. They get a 0-point weekend off of everything as they lose 5-3. Respectable performance, but still another loss for the Blaze on the weekend as they lose 5-3 to the Sting. The Sting, of course, seem to have replaced the Hull Jets in terms of the ones challenging Telford for silverware this year. The other game from Sunday, a 6-3 win for the Altrincham Aces away at the MIC against the Nottingham Lions. This upcoming weekend then in North 2, well, it could be another uphill battle for the Kingston Sharks. They're at home on Saturday, 5:30pm face-off at the world's most versatile arena against the Altrincham Aces. Telford take on Billingham in a game that you'd expect Telford to win. Although, coming off that 4-point weekend, what sort of confidence will the Buccaneers have? Sunday, we still have no face-off time. We never get face-off times for Altrincham on this website, but they take on the Telford Titans. The Buccaneers take on the Nottingham Lions. That's a 5:30 face-off, as is a 5:30 face-off at Bradford. They take on Telford, looking to spring a surprise against the Tigers. The other game on Sunday is a 5pm face-off between the Sutton Sting and the Kingston Sharks. All things considered, given the last time these two teams played, anything close to low double figures will be a victory there for the Sharks. If we look at the table for North 2, as we're aware, their unbeaten run obviously gone. The Sutton Sting, though, still currently top, but they have 24 points from 13 games. A 12-1 record to start the year is pretty impressive, but Telford still have a perfect record. 9 from 9, 18 points, and 4 games in hand does put them in the driving seat. That 0-point weekend has dented things for Coventry, 16 from 12. Billingham in 4th place in their debut season in this division, 12 from 11. Sheffield 9 from 10, Altrincham 8 from 8, Bradford 5 from 10, Nottingham 3 from 10, and of course our friends the Kingston Sharks, 9 games played, 9 defeats, 90 goals conceded, a 10 goals against average this season. Boy, oh boy, that is not fun. What else have we got? Billingham, a very good goalie. Will be interesting to see how the game goes. Fair enough, Karen. I can't say I'm familiar with who the Buccaneers goalie is this year. What else have we got there? 16th of December is the target date for the Cats to be back at the league. Yeah, obviously they've said January is the target because you under promise and over deliver is the way to do that. What else have we got there? First ever win for the Whitley Bay Beacons in the WNIHL Elite, 8-3 against Streatham Storm. Indeed, Andrew, I know you've been watching a bit more women's hockey this year. I should really join you in that one. Maybe I should go to Guildford actually, go see the Lightning, take that opportunity. Given that I might be back, given I will be back in Guildford at some stage before the end of 2023 from a commentary perspective. Missed my away days at the Links Centre. Looking forward to it reopening. Dan, yeah, I agree as well. I'm looking forward to getting down there. Haven't been there for a while. Like I say, I was due to be there. And that didn't happen, did it? All things considered, a bit of a shame, but all things considered. Better that we be ready to rock and roll and go there in good time. South 2 then. My friends in South 2 have been causing people a little bit of a headache, and I'm quite pleased about that. The Basingstoke Buffalo were the only game in town on Saturday. They won with a 5-3 home win against the Oxford Rising Stars. And then it's been a long time coming, but the Basingstoke Buffalo has said they needed to trust the process. When I spoke to Dan Weller-Evans, he talked about the fact that they knew eventually results would come, and talk about a result, that win against Oxford on Saturday, and then on Sunday, a 5-2 win over the defending league champion Bristol Pitbulls. A 4-point weekend for the Buffalo. With Will Birch added back into the lineup, it's given the attack a little bit of an extra dimension. Great result for coaches Hallam Wilson and Paul Pett. And Dan Weller-Evans, of course, proving himself, aside from the fact, friend of the show, he's proving himself to be arguably the best goalie in the league right now, which is pretty impressive. Elsewhere, a couple of games on Sunday, teams at the top end who are got teams at the top end with some decent results there. Peterborough with a 7-4 win over the Invicta Mustangs, last year's playoff champions, and Streatham with a 5-4 win in that London derby. South London beats North London. Full docket of games though for the South. Haringey, of course, always big crowds at Alexandra Palace. The Phoenix take on the Haringey Huskies take on the Chelmsford Warriors. That's a 5:30 face-off at Ali Pally. 6:15 p.m. face-off at the Ox Pens. The Rising Stars look to get some revenge against the Basingstoke Buffalo. 6:30 p.m. face-offs in Guildford. They take on the Invicta Mustangs, and also in Peterborough for the Peterborough Phantoms versus Streatham Blackhawks. A 5 p.m. face-off in Gosport. The Solomon Junior Devils were quite revitalised this year under head coach Harry Cloutman take on the Bristol Pitbulls, who will be looking to get back to winning ways when things roll around on Saturday. Sunday then, Chelmsford host Guildford. That's a 6 p.m. face-off at the Riverside. 6:45 p.m. face-off down in the Bay. Can the Basingstoke Buffalo keep that good run going as well? When they have a game against the Cardiff Fire. Oh no, apologies, that's the 18th. There's only one game on Sunday. Jump the gun again on the Buffalo if you saw my Twitter. But yes, one game on Sunday. That's Chelmsford versus Guildford. What that means then, if we have a quick look at the table for South 2, Peterborough still top at the moment. They have played 7 and they are 6-1 with 12 points. Haringey have a perfect record. They are 6 from 6 with 12 points. Bristol have had a bit of a mixed start to the year. 4-4-1. They have 9 points from 9. Guildford have only played 4 games in the league so far. They have 8 points. Them and Haringey at the moment still have the maximum, still at the highest amount of maximum they could get to. Both teams could reach 44. Guildford versus Haringey is shaping up to be a massive game in the context of the League 2 South title. Streatham are also on 8 points. They have 7. They've played 7 games. That has them in 5th. Followed by Invicta, Solent, Chelmsford, Cardiff and Basingstoke, all on 6 points. Oxford have 2 points from their 4 games. Lee Valley Lions, of course, unfortunately, still at the bottom. No wins from their 6 games so far. Which means we have, in spite of all the tech gremlins, in spite of everything that's happened, we've gone through every game across the entirety of the National Ice Hockey League structure from the last weekend. And we've gone through all the fixtures as well for this upcoming weekend. A massive thank you to everybody for sticking with me on this one. Like I say, I just don't know what's happened to my webcam here. Can't get the drivers to work for love nor money. Reinstalled it, uninstalled it, reinstalled it again. It just didn't want to play ball. And so, like I said, we're running off the phone tonight. No graphics, none of the shiny stuff. But what we're going to do next week, like I say, I'll get myself a webcam ordered off of Amazon tonight so I can get that in, test it, and hopefully we can kind of have things back in a bit more of a regular sense of what we're used to from the What's Current stream. Although, as a backup, I don't think this went too badly. It is, however, pretty late. It's like 9:15, which is around the time we'd normally be knocking off. However, what I will say, well, let's have a couple of minutes, free for all, free reign, chuck in what you want, comments, questions, everything else. We didn't do a usual start because of the stuff talking about Adam Johnson. We will do a bit of a regular end and kind of wrap up things properly, but anything else you want to talk about, please feel free. No skin off my nose at all. We will try using this microphone though next week when I get everything working again. See how it goes, see what the sound quality is like, see if it's improved. Like I say, I mean, I always want the streams to be as good and high quality as I can, but this is the joy of live streaming this on YouTube because it means I just have that little bit of flexibility to be able to kind of not worry so much. And I think that sort of raw, rough and ready DIY ethic, aside from the old punk rocker in me, that we're able to kind of still have the chat and roll things out when things go sideways like this, which is fun. But yes, free, comments, questions, anything anybody wants to chuck in. Otherwise, we will kind of, otherwise, like I say, we'll head out relatively shortly. But of course, want to hear from you guys before we do disappear. What we will do, let's just quickly, as well, while people are doing that, let's get Chrome up on the computer. Let's just have a quick check of any other news that's kind of going on so far. Whilst we're sort of chatting, obviously the NHL rolling along. San Jose with their first win against the Philadelphia Flyers. The Philadelphia Flyers becoming the first sides to lose, the first team to ever lose to two teams that had not won in their first 10 games. Pretty impressive. Massive thanks to everyone for doing that. Let's have a quick check of the news. Two best power plays get ahead on Friday. MK vs Swindon were as good games. I mean, Swindon's power play stats were massively bolstered by this weekend against Solway because God bless the Sharks. I love them to death, but they just, certainly in that Saturday game, they just didn't learn. They just did not adapt. It was bad, and it was pretty silly. So they've got to have that little bit of nous. The one thing, of course, that we will just briefly mention, of course, is the news that came out just before the stream started, which is the Nottingham Panthers have announced their withdrawal from the Challenge Cup for this year, which for me makes perfect sense. And we need to give the Panthers that respect and that space and that time. And actually, it minimises the amount of extra gains to be made up. There's a real practical value to this. And also as well, it just lets the Panthers players just focus on doing one thing rather than anything else. I hope, the Nottingham Panthers, I said this earlier this week and I will say it again, the Nottingham Panthers should come back when they are ready, and that first game should be at home. They should not start anywhere else apart from Nottingham when they come back. Jordan Boyce to Leeds now permanent. I mean, him going on a two-way deal was pretty much as much permanence as was ever going to be, in that opinion. Ryan Bainborough being quality for Phantoms too. Him and Weller Evans had a great battle. They did. That was one of the big frustrations about, because obviously that game on the 29th of October shouldn't have gone ahead between the Buffalo and Peterborough. I was really looking forward to being able to see it though, because that was one of the reasons I wanted to see how Ryan and Dan kind of how they kind of matched up. So really interesting. Really interesting. Yes, I can see there, Jamie, like I said, just skipping by now that the full-time move there for Jordan Boycer. And bless me, just never seems to be given the chance to really crack an Elite League lineup full-time, does he? Which is just a shame, but it is what it is on that front. Will Bristol look at coaching? They weren't great last year, nor this. Maybe the new import will kick them into gear. I mean, potentially, James. I think, like I say, I think certainly Richie Hargreaves and Jamie Elsom, they've always talked about it as being a project and a process, and this is year 2 of that. I think how Bristol finished the year is going to be the real big marker here, because they were within a decent shout of a playoff spot last season, and Owen Sobchak got injured, and they just fell away. Their second half of the season was woeful, and they've not been great so far this year. If they recover, but maybe make the playoffs, then this is a different conversation that we can have. It's really easy to have this in November when everything feels rubbish. But yeah, if the new import potentially Tanner Butler now as captain, they are making changes, and there's a real way to press on. Can they do it? I think this is, but I don't think we're going to see anybody released midway through the season. It's not aside from the fact you're asking people to kind of do things with other people's rosters, I just don't think that's what Richie Hargreaves wants to do as an owner. I'd be more inclined, if there is going to be a change of coaching at Bristol, that it happens in the summer next year. I think that's where I'd look. If it happens before, then I would be surprised. I can't deny that one. But yeah, otherwise, plenty of fun things. If the like I say, I'm just interested to kind of see how this weekend plays off. Of course, we keep our fingers crossed for everything happening in Swindon. One thing I've learned is that no team can join the National and find it easy, looking at Hull and Bristol last year and Solway this year compared to where people predicted. Yeah, I think that's an interesting one, Dan. I think certainly the feeling in Solway was a bit more realistic. I think they kind of wanted to kind of be a bit further along the track than they currently are, but the interesting and the telling thing from the Saturday night, and if you've not seen these things, they get players up into the bar and they kind of do like a post-game interview there. They do the ones on the video in the stands, but they also do them in the bar. And just the frustration from Struan and Tonner just about the fact that they just keep making the same mistakes was very, very evident. And I've had many conversations with Struan over the last little while, and he's a great character. He's a fantastic sort of guy to kind of talk about because he's just so blooming honest. I've quoted in the piece on the website what he said when he was asked about how he felt after the game. And Tonner scored a superb goal as well. Hopefully the highlights are out before too long, because his goal is for Solway's fourth on Saturday. It's a beaut. It's an absolute beaut of a goal. And I think the frustration there is that they just don't seem to. They can't piece it all together. They can piece it together for moments, but they can't piece it together for 60 minutes. The other folk, of course, to listen to from Saturday, if you want a different perspective, Macca's Talk Hockey. Those boys were obviously up there, interested to hear what they have to say. I'll listen to that as well from the weekend. But plenty of good stuff there. You know what? It's 9:20. It's been a bit of a wonky show, and obviously we started it off on a bit of a downer. But like I say, we pick each other up, we dust each other down, and as British hockey, we need to look forward and we need to move on together. And find a new head for NHL DOPS, apparently. And no, I will not be putting my CV in for that role. Thank you very much. We will call it there. bannersonthewall.wordpress.com, as well as Hockey Stories. Like I say, Hockey Stories and stuff was in pre-production. I've got a guest who's committed to coming on, but obviously we put that on hold because of everything that happened. And so I will pick that back up with them next week. Of course, you've got some other bits and pieces. They'll be there. The old BOTW podcast back catalogue is there, as well as Dice Hockey. That's a free-to-download game that's there on the website. bannersonthewall.wordpress.com. All that stuff is there. Go have a check of that out. Facebook.com/bannersonthewall. If you like things in your Facebook feed, go like the page. Then you'll get every piece on the website and a bunch of other stuff coming through there. Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, is @bannersotw. That's the best place to keep up with my kind of rolling commentary. Buymeacoffee.com/BOTW. Of course, I have no links down below because everything's failed and gone broken. But that's the virtual busking hat. If you like what gets offered from Banners on the Wall and you want to just help keep the lights on and the wheels turning around, buymeacoffee.com/BOTW. Massively appreciated. Please do not feel obligated to donate. It's there if you want to contribute because you enjoy what happens. That'd be fantastic. And of course, you are here live on YouTube, here at the Banners on the Wall YouTube channel. If you haven't already, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, feed the algorithm hamster so that he runs on his wheel. Hopefully next week we'll be back to kind of something of normality and a proper show that's less done off my phone. The background will be the same. I can't lie on that front. But of course, the other thing as well, tons and tons of videos. Old Bison player signings, our interview series that we've done for our Hockey Stories videos that are here, our interview series, as well as the new series I'll be doing with the Solent Devils, the detail in the Devils. Obviously, part 1 of that is up with Harry Cloutman. Part 2 coming relatively soon, of course. Recent events have kind of paused that, so I'm going to get back in touch. Me and Alex Murray are going to put our heads together and we'll see who is next out of Gosport to talk about their career and their part of being a part of Solent. But like I say, tons of stuff that you can find across Banners on the Wall on all platforms. To Adam Johnson, wherever he may be watching us, keep an eye on the blue line. We will see you soon. And otherwise, I think the only thing to do is to just really sincerely end this as I usually do. Be happy. And if you really can't be happy, that is absolutely fine right now. It's been really, really weird last couple of weeks. But if you can't be happy, please be safe. Please be safe. As my friend Scotty Watts would say, take care of yourself, especially yourself at the moment, and somebody else. For bannersonthewall.wordpress.com, this is Anthony Russell saying stay safe. And so long until next time, where hopefully I'll pull myself a web camera Wherever you get your hockey this weekend, everybody, enjoy it. We'll see you next Wednesday night here on YouTube for the BOTW What's Current stream. Take care, everyone.